My family held an intervention to force me to forgive my cheating wife. I walked out. I never imagined I'd be writing this. I'm sitting in my car after what just happened, hands shaking as I type. My family and in-laws basically ambushed me with an intervention to pressure me into forgiving my wife for cheating. Yes, you read that right. They literally gathered in my living room to tell me, the betrayed husband, to forgive and forget. I walked out on all of them, and now I just need to spill this somewhere. This is probably going to be long and messy, but I need to get it off my chest. Background. I'm a 35-year-old guy, and my wife, 33F, and I have been married for 10 years. We have 2 kids, 8 and 5. Up until a few months ago, I would have said we had a pretty good life. Typical ups and downs, nothing too out of the ordinary. I work in IT, she's a nurse. We met in college, got married relatively young, and I really thought we were happy. I thought we had trust. I thought I was safe. About 3 months ago, my world got flipped upside down. My wife, let's call her Sarah, had been acting distant and on edge. At first, I figured it was just work stress or something. Night shifts can mess you up, right? I tried to be supportive, taking on extra chores, giving her space when she seemed moody. But then the classic red flags started waving in my face. She was glued to her phone, smiling at texts that she'd quickly hide. She started working late, a lot, or going out to grab groceries at odd hours. My gut was telling me something was off, but every time I asked if she was okay, she'd bite my head off for being paranoid or controlling. Discovery. The moment that confirmed my worst fears happened one Saturday. She said she was going to have a girls' night with a coworker friend. I offered to watch the kids, as I always do, and told her to enjoy. Something in her eyes. I don't know, it just didn't sit right. Maybe it was how eager she was. Or maybe I'd subconsciously picked up other clues. I ended up texting that coworker's husband, we're casual friends, just to verify that our wives were hanging out. Long story short, they weren't. Her friend was apparently out of town. My heart sank, but I wasn't going to jump to conclusions without proof. I decided to do something I'm not proud of. I tracked her phone. I had Find My enabled on our devices for emergencies with the kids. That night, instead of heading to her friend's place, or any bar in town, she drove across the city to a residential neighborhood, parked 2 blocks away, and walked to a house. My heart was pounding like crazy. I felt nauseous, but I had to know. I got a buddy of mine to watch the kids, and I drove out there, adrenaline on full blast and hands shaking on the steering wheel. When I arrived, I saw her car immediately. It was parked near a familiar truck, one I recognized as a guy from her hospital's maintenance department. Let's call him Mike. My stomach dropped. I'd met Mike at a hospital holiday party. He's a single guy, about our age, charmer type. I had noticed him chatting with Sarah a bit that night, but didn't think much of it. Now all the pieces were clicking. I walked up to the house, and through the front window, the curtains were half open. I saw them. My wife and Mike on the couch, way too close, making out. It felt like someone punched me in the gut. I remember my vision going blurry, my heart just raging in my chest. I don't even remember deciding to do it, but I found myself pounding on the door. Everything after was a blur of yelling and tears. Mike answered the door, saw it was me, and tried to block me from coming in. I shoved past him with whatever strength anger gives you, and there was Sarah, standing in the living room, looking like a deer in headlights, hair messy, shirt hastily thrown on. She started sobbing immediately, saying, "It's not what it looks like," which is the dumbest cliche because it was exactly what it looked like. I was screaming, Mike was stammering something, and Sarah just kept crying and trying to pull me away from Mike. I'm not proud, but I remember shouting something like, "How could you do this to me, to our kids?" She just kept saying she was sorry, that it was a mistake, blah blah. I left before things got physical with Mike. I'm not about to catch an assault charge. I just walked out, got in my car, and drove. I had to pull over a few blocks away because I was shaking so bad. Aftermath of discovery. In the days following, Sarah was an absolute wreck. She begged me not to tell anyone and to give her a chance to explain. According to her, it was the first time it went that far, and it just happened. She claimed they had been flirting and emotionally confiding in each other because we'd been distant lately, which is news to me. I was trying to talk to her. She was the one pushing me away. She swore it was only kissing, and that she stopped it before it went further because she couldn't go through with it. Honestly, I don't know if I believe that. It certainly looked like it was about to go way further when I walked in. She pleaded and cried, said she'd do anything to fix this. In those first couple of days, I was a mess myself. I hadn't eaten, could barely sleep. I felt like my skin was crawling and my brain was on fire, replaying what I saw. The betrayal was, and is, unbearable. We argued behind closed doors, at home while the kids were asleep or at school. Lots of tears from both of us, lots of anger from me, lots of apologies from her. She actually slapped herself at one point, saying how much she hated herself for what she did. It was dramatic, but I was just numb. I told her I needed space to think and that I didn't know what to do. I couldn't even look at her. I eventually confided in my older sister, 38F, about what happened, because I needed someone to talk to. She was furious on my behalf. My sister basically said, whatever you decide, I've got your back. Cheating is a line you don't cross. That gave me a bit of strength because in those moments you feel so lonely and embarrassed. I decided to take a couple of weeks staying at my sister's house, telling the kids that Daddy had to help Auntie with some home projects. I hated lying to them, but I wasn't ready for them to know anything was wrong. Sarah stayed at home with the kids. During that time, she bombarded me with texts, long apology letters, updates about the kids, pleas to come to counseling, etc. She also told both our sets of parents about her infidelity, something I honestly didn't expect her to do so soon. I hadn't decided who to tell yet, beyond my sister, but she went and told them. Maybe she thought coming clean to them would show she was serious about making amends. Well, that's when things took another turn. See, both her parents and mine are very old school. Marriage is sacred, divorce is taboo, think of the children types. I come from a conservative cultural background, where divorce is often seen as a shame on the family, unless something absolutely horrendous happens. And apparently to them, a wife cheating isn't horrendous enough. It's something to sweep under the rug for the greater good. Angry the intervention. So fast forward to today. I'm back at the house, temporarily, because I miss my kids like crazy. I hadn't made any final decisions about the marriage yet. Sarah had been giving me space, but she was obviously desperate to reconcile. We were coexisting civilly for the sake of the kids during their holiday break, while I was still sleeping in the guest room and keeping my distance. This afternoon, my mom calls and says she and my dad want to stop by and see us. Then Sarah's sister calls, saying she's dropping off some food. It felt a bit odd they all wanted to come over, but in my naivete, or denial, I didn't piece it together. I actually thought, oh, they're showing support, maybe to check on me or us. I should mention, my sister, the one who knows everything, was suspicious and decided to come over too, uninvited. She had this gut feeling I was walking into something. Thank God she did. So there we are. Me, Sarah, our two kids playing in the yard, supervised by my brother-in-law out back, and in walks a parade of family. My parents, her two older sisters, and even her pastor. Yes, they brought their church pastor for some spiritual guidance. They all file into our living room like it's a planned meeting. My sister arrives last and immediately senses the weird atmosphere. The kids were thankfully outside, because what followed was 2 hours of hell. Essentially, they sat me down and tried to pressure me to forgive Sarah and save the marriage. The basic message was, Sarah messed up, but marriage is about forgiveness. Think of the children, think of the family, everyone makes mistakes. God teaches us to forgive. I was stunned. At first, I just sat there in silence as they went around in a circle sharing their wisdom. Sarah's oldest sister, who I've always thought was kind of bossy, led the charge. She said things like, I know what she did was wrong, but you have to look at the bigger picture. You have a beautiful family. Don't throw it away over this. Her mom piped in, voice quivering. We know our daughter did a terrible thing, but she has always been a good wife and mother otherwise. She's only human. Please, for the sake of the kids, try to work through this. My own mother, to my absolute shock, sided with them. Sweetheart, she said to me, I understand you're hurt, but forgiveness is divine. Your father and I have been married 40 years, and we've been through our own trials. We wouldn't still be together if we didn't forgive each other's mistakes. Side note, I have never known of my dad cheating on my mom, so I don't know what she meant by that. Maybe lesser issues, but equating that to this felt like a gut punch. It went on like this, everyone essentially telling me to forgive and forget. The pastor said some generic stuff about hate the sin, not the sinner, and how marriage is a covenant worth fighting for. My father, usually a quiet man, actually said, son, you made a vow. In sickness and in health, for better or for worse, this is the worse. Running away won't solve it. I felt betrayed by everyone in that room, except my sister, who was shifting in her seat, looking like she was about to explode. Finally, after letting them yammer for God knows how long, I found my voice. I was like, so let me get this straight. Sarah betrays me in the worst way possible, breaks our marriage vows, shatters my trust. And the solution you all have is that I should just forgive her on command, because you all want to pretend everything is fine. What about what I need? What about some actual accountability for her actions? Sarah was sobbing quietly at this point, staring at the floor. Her sisters flanked her like protective guards. Her oldest sister responded, she is taking accountability. She owned up to her mistake. What more do you want? Do you want to punish her for the rest of your lives? You have to move past it. I nearly laughed in disbelief. It's been 3 weeks. I'm not even sure I want to stay married. You all ambushing me like this isn't helping. In fact, it's making me want to run for the hills. My mom started crying, saying, we just don't want to see our family broken apart. Divorce is so hard on children. Please, At least consider counseling. Don't make any rash decisions. The pressure was insane. It was like I was on trial for contemplating leaving my cheater. Every time I tried to assert how hurt and angry I was, someone would chime in with a guilt trip. Think of the kids. Nobody is perfect. If you don't forgive, you'll carry bitterness forever. My breaking point was when Sarah herself finally spoke. Through tears, she said, I accept full blame. I'll do anything. Counseling, church, whatever it takes. But I need you, I love you, and I can't imagine life without you. I know I messed up, but please don't throw away our family. And then, if you can't do it for me, do it for our children. They need their father and mother together. That's when I lost it. I stood up, heart pounding. I told her, and everyone, you should have thought of that before sleeping with someone else. You don't get to play the family card now. I was thinking of our kids when I stayed faithful and worked on our marriage. You didn't. You destroyed the family you're so desperate to keep. There was a heavy silence. I could feel all their eyes on me, some of them glaring like I was the villain now. Her dad, who had been quiet, said sternly, Young man, every marriage goes through tests. This is yours. Be a man and handle it, don't just walk away. Be a man, he says. Implying what? That I'm less of a man for not tolerating cheating? That did it. I saw red. I told him, voice shaking with anger. With all due respect, sir, your daughter wasn't thinking about our marriage's test when she had another man's tongue down her throat. Crude, I know, but I was beyond caring. Gasps around the room. Sarah wailed and buried her face in her hands. Her mom shouted, Was that really necessary? My sister finally jumped in and raised her voice over the chaos. Are you all hearing yourselves? Sarah cheated on him. He is the victim here. You can't just force someone to forgive betrayal on your timetable. This intervention is ridiculously unfair. Bless my sister. I felt so relieved that someone said it. But it didn't stop the guilt trippers. Sarah's other sister, the middle one, said something like, We're not denying what she did was wrong, but family means forgiveness. He has to decide if one mistake is worth ruining all of their lives. I yelled back. She already ruined lives with that mistake, not me. I'm just trying to cope with the aftermath. I was done. I had reached my limit of circular arguments and emotional blackmail. I just looked at my kids playing outside through the window and a thought hit me hard. Is this the example I want to set for them? That it's okay to be treated like this? That cheating has no real consequences? I turned to my mother and father. I love you, but I can't believe you're okay with this. If Dad cheated on you, Mom, would you sit in this chair and let a bunch of people tell you to get over it? My mom started to stammer something about, that's different. And I cut her off. No, it's not. I need to do what's right for me and my kids, even if that means the marriage ends. Then I looked at the whole group and said, I appreciate that you all care about our family, but this is not the way to handle it. I will not be staying here to be emotionally bullied into rug sweeping what happened. My dad tried to get me to sit back down, and the pastor was murmuring something about prayer. Sarah was crying hysterically now, repeating, Please, please, under her breath. I just shook my head and walked out. Actually, I stormed out. My sister followed right behind me. As I was leaving, I heard her dad say angrily, So that's it? You're just giving up? And someone, maybe one of her sisters, mutter, Unbelievable. So selfish. I didn't even turn around. I went straight to my kids, hugged them, and told them I had to go. My daughter asked if I was okay because I guess I looked upset. I just forced a smile and said I wasn't feeling well and needed to rest. My sister said she'd take me to her house. And now here I am, sitting in my car in my sister's driveway, feeling like I'm the crazy one because almost everyone I'm supposed to trust and respect basically ganged up on me to be a good, forgiving husband. The only person who had my back was my sister. I feel betrayed all over again, not just by my wife, but by my family and in-laws. How could they do this to me? Do they not understand how much pain I'm in? Or do they just not care? Because preserving the image of a happy family is more important. I haven't decided if I'm going to divorce Sarah yet. Honestly, after today, I'm leaning heavily toward it. Not just because of her cheating, but because I see now that staying with her would mean constantly being pressured to pretend everything is fine, to make everyone else comfortable at the expense of my own feelings. I know my kids are young and would prefer mommy and daddy together, but I also know what staying would mean for me, swallowing this betrayal and likely never truly healing, just to play happy family. That can't be healthy for me or for my kids in the long run. I'd rather co-parent separately and be honest than live a lie under the same roof. I'm angry, I'm hurt, and I feel incredibly alone right now. But one thing I know for sure, walking out of that intervention was the right move. I refuse to be coerced into forgiving someone on a family-imposed deadline. Forgiveness, if it ever comes, has to be on my terms. Or maybe I'll never forgive her. And that's my right too. I don't know what will happen next. I'll probably take a few days before even speaking to any of them. My phone's been blowing up with calls and texts. I'm ignoring them for now. I needed to write this out to clear my head. If you made it this far, thanks for reading. Any advice or perspective is welcome, because I feel like I'm in a fog of emotions. TLDR, wife of 10 years cheated on me. Our families and her pastor held a surprise intervention, basically, to pressure me into forgiving her for the sake of our kids and family. They guilt-tripped me hard, telling me to forgive and forget, because marriage is about forgiveness. I reached a breaking point and walked out, feeling betrayed not just by my wife, but by family who I thought would support me. Not sure what comes next, but I refuse to be forced into a quick forgiveness or reconciliation. Update 1. First, I want to thank everyone who commented on my original post. I was in a really dark place and honestly thought maybe I was crazy or overreacting. Seeing strangers validate my feelings and even share similar stories has been a lifeline. I read every comment and message, there were a lot, and it gave me the confidence to stand my ground. I have a bit of an update. It's been 1 week since the intervention from hell. It's been intense. After I walked out, I spent that night at my sister's house. My phone was blowing up with texts and missed calls. My parents, Sarah's sisters, even the pastor, were trying to reach me. The messages ranged from, "Please come back, let's talk," to, "How can you abandon your family like this?" Yes, someone actually said that. I decided to go temporarily no contact with all of them for a couple days to clear my head. I let my sister act as a middleman for anything regarding my kids, who stayed with Sarah at home. I just needed silence and space. During that time, I did 2 things. Got a lawyer consultation and started individual therapy. The lawyer was to understand my options regarding separation/divorce and custody, etc. No moves made yet, just gathering info. The therapist, well, I realized I'm dealing with trauma here, and a professional might help me sort through the mess of emotions. Only had 1 session so far, but it actually felt good to vent to someone objective. Family fallout. After a couple days, I felt a bit more steady and decided to talk to my parents. I went in prepared, like mentally scripting what I needed to say. The conversation was hard. I told them how betrayed I felt by their approach. I said, imagine if this was my sister in my shoes. Would you tell her to just forgive her husband for cheating because of family? That seemed to strike a chord with my mom, who went quiet. My dad was apologetic in a cautious way. Like he said he was sorry I felt ambushed, but he still hopes I can forgive Sarah eventually. At least they listened. My mom did say she was sorry for not supporting me enough and that she loves me no matter what I decide. It wasn't a dramatic I see the light moment for them, but it was calmer. I think they realize they push too hard, even if they still have their biases. Sarah's contact. I also finally spoke to Sarah, but only via phone call for now. She was extremely emotional, not defensive at all, just sobbing and apologizing repeatedly. She said she was mortified by what her family did with the intervention and claimed she didn't know they planned to go that far. She did admit to confiding in her sisters that I was leaning towards leaving her, and they, especially the oldest, ran with the intervention idea. According to Sarah, she told them not to push me too hard, but her sister thought a show of support from family would convince me to at least try counseling. Well, it convinced me of something all right, just not what they hoped. I asked her flat out if there was more to the story with Mike, a fair partner, because I had this gnawing feeling that I hadn't gotten the full truth. She hesitated and then confessed that they did have sex, twice, in the month leading up to the night I caught them. She tried to minimize it, saying it was just a brief physical thing, when she was feeling lonely and unappreciated, and that it was never emotional, so apparently that makes it better in her mind. Honestly, hearing that was like being stabbed all over again. I'm glad I was on the phone, and not in person, because I just went silent. She kept saying how ashamed she is, and that it meant nothing. That phrase, "it meant nothing." I told her to never say that to me again. It obviously meant something, or she wouldn't have risked our family for it. I ended the call pretty abruptly, saying I needed time and I didn't want to speak to her further until I decided I was ready. She was crying and said she understood. Part of me felt bad, like I do think she's genuinely remorseful now, but it's so frustrating that she wasn't honest even when caught. Trickle truth is just another betrayal. The twist, because of course there's more. 2 days after that call, I get an unexpected visitor. Mike. Yes, that Mike. The affair guy. He showed up at my workplace of all places. I saw him in the parking lot, as I was leaving to grab lunch. I immediately felt this surge of anger just seeing his face. I walked up ready to either punch him or tell him to get lost. Maybe both. He backed up with hands raised, saying, "I'm not here to cause trouble, I swear. I need to talk to you," I barked at him, probably louder than I should have. "You've got some ing nerve coming here." Excuse the language, I normally kept it clean in my posts, but I was livid. He looked genuinely scared and miserable. He said he just wanted to apologize man to man, and that if I hear him out, he'll leave me alone forever. I was extremely close to telling him to go to hell, but a part of me was curious, and maybe I wanted to see him squirm, so I growled, "Make it quick." Mike basically spilled his guts in the parking lot. He apologized over and over. He said he had no excuse, that he knew she was married and hates himself for what he did. Apparently, after I caught them, he ended it completely and even quit his job at the hospital because he felt so guilty and couldn't face my wife, or me, I guess. He claimed he had recently gone through a rough breakup and enjoyed the attention from Sarah, and it got out of hand. He swore it wasn't a long-term affair. He claimed it started about 2 months ago as flirting and crossed physical lines in the last month. At least that lines up with what Sarah eventually told me, for whatever that's worth. Then he said something that actually took me aback. He said he was willing to talk to my in-laws or parents or anyone to take full blame, if that had helped them see that Sarah wasn't solely responsible. That was weird to me. Like, of course she's responsible too, but it sounded like her family was even giving him a pass and putting it all on me to fix it. He said her sisters and parents had basically told him to stay away, and that the marriage will survive if can be a man and forgive. That phrasing again. He said he felt awful that I was being painted as unforgiving when he's the one who lit the match. I didn't even know how to respond. I told him the best thing he could do is stay away from all of us. I did ask one thing that had been eating at me. Did you love her? He immediately shook his head. No, I mean. I liked her, but love? No. And she never said she loved me or anything like that. We were just being stupid. For some reason, that made me feel a tiny bit better, like at least it wasn't some star-crossed emotional affair. It was just base stupidity and lust. Still devastating, but maybe easier. Or maybe not, I don't know yet. I basically said, fine, I've heard your apology. Now get out of my sight and don't ever come near my family again. He left. I stood there for a few minutes, just trembling. The audacity of everything happening in my life is unreal. Current status. So where does that leave things? I haven't made any final legal moves yet, but I did tell Sarah we need a separation. I'm going to formally move out and rent a small apartment or stay longer term with my sister. I'll still see my kids, of course, likely splitting time. Sarah was heartbroken hearing that, but she didn't fight it. She said she'll do whatever it takes, even if it means living separately and going to counseling alone until I'm ready to even consider joint counseling. One frustrating thing. After word got out that I moved out, I had a call with Sarah's oldest sister, the bossy one. I kept it civil but firm. She basically wanted to explain their perspective from the intervention. She said they were afraid I'd make a rash decision that'd break the family, and they felt they had to intervene quickly. I told her that their actions only pushed me further away, and that was their fault, not mine. She half apologized. I'm sorry you felt ambushed. That wasn't our intention. We just care, kind of non-apology. Then she had the nerve to say, don't let your pride ruin things. We're all willing to help you forgive her because we know, deep down, you two are great together. I just ended the call. There's no getting through to someone that delusional. My own parents have backed off, thankfully. They said they'll respect my decision, though I know they're quietly praying I choose to stay married. Whatever. At least they're not hounding me now. The most important thing. My kids. We told them Daddy is going to stay at Auntie's for a while. My 8-year-old seemed to catch on that something's wrong. She asked if Mommy and Daddy are mad at each other. We tried to keep it vague. We had a big disagreement, but we both love you very much. She's a smart kid. I think she knows it's serious. That breaks my heart, honestly. This is the part that hurts the most, knowing they'll be affected by this no matter what. Emotionally, I'm still on a roller coaster. Some days I wake up feeling okay, thinking I'll be able to handle whatever comes. Other nights, like when I put my kids to bed at my sister's place and they ask when I'm coming home, I feel like absolute scum and start questioning if I should just suck it up and go back for them. But then I remember the gut-wrenching betrayal, and I feel anger and resolve again not to be treated like that. Therapy has been helpful to sort out those contradictory feelings. The therapist is helping me see that it's normal to cycle through anger, sadness, confusion. It's part of grief. Grieving the marriage I thought I had, I guess. As for Sarah, she's been respectful of my space since I told her about the separation. She sends me updates about the kids and logistical stuff. She did write me a long email that basically was a heartfelt apology and her outlining a plan for how she wants to rebuild if I give her the chance. Therapy, transparency, quitting her job if that'd make me feel safer, etc. I haven't responded to that. I'm not ready. I don't know if I'll ever be ready to reconcile, to be honest. Right now, the plan is to stay separated and see if I even want to try marriage counseling after some time apart. I might just go straight to filing for divorce, if that feels right. The lawyer gave me an okay picture of what divorce could look like in terms of custody and finances, so that fear of the unknown is less now. I know a lot of people on my original post said, run, don't look back. I get that sentiment, and a big part of me wants to do just that. But there's also 10 years of history and 2 kids, and a part of me that still loves the person I thought she was. It's not easy to just turn that off. I wish it were. One day at a time, I guess. At least I've reclaimed some control of the situation by getting out of that toxic pressure cooker environment. No one is cornering me in my living room now, telling me how to feel. That alone is a relief. I'll update again when I figure out the next steps. Right now, I'm in limbo but moving towards healing, with or without her. Thanks again to everyone who lent support. It meant more than you know. To be continued. Update 2. It's been about a month since my last update. I wasn't sure if I'd post again, but a lot has happened, and writing things out here has helped me process. So here goes. Hopefully, the final update to this saga. Separation life. I ended up renting a small 2-bedroom apartment not far from our marital home. It's nothing fancy, but it's become my little safe space. My kids have a cozy room set up for when they stay over, and I've been splitting custody 50-50 with Sarah on a week-by-week basis. It's an odd new routine. 1 week, I'm a full-time single dad juggling school drop-offs and bedtime stories in a quiet apartment. The next week, I'm alone with way too much time to think. But I'm managing. The kids seem to be adapting okay. I've tried to keep their lives as normal as possible. Thank God for supportive aunties. My sister has been amazing helping with them when I need an extra hand. Communication with Sarah. We've kept it businesslike and civil. Talk about the kids, bills, practical stuff. The elephant in the room, our marriage, remains mostly unspoken. She did bring up counseling once more. Said she's been going to individual therapy, and it's helping her understand how deeply she hurt me and why she did what she did. Apparently, a lot of personal insecurities and some twisted need for validation. Not that it excuses anything. I told her I'm genuinely glad she's working on herself, but I'm still not ready for couples counseling or reconciliation talks. There was one slip on my part. On our off week when I was alone, I went to the house to fix a Wi-Fi issue for the kid's tablet. I'm still tech support, I guess. It was strange being back there, like entering a time capsule of our old life, except I now sleep somewhere else. After I fixed it, I was about to leave and Sarah stopped me. She looked so small and sad, and she just asked, "Can I hug you? I miss you." I shouldn't have, but I did hug her. And damn it, I broke down crying in her arms. It was like all the grief hit me at once. She was crying too, whispering, "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry," over and over. We didn't talk about it after. I just left. Emotions all over the place. I tell you this to illustrate how confusing this all still is. Love doesn't disappear overnight, even when trust does. The family angle. Now, the intervention crew. Over the past month, I've basically gone low contact with Sarah's family. I remain polite for the kids' sake. E.g., if I pick up or drop off the kids and someone is there, I'll say hello. But I don't engage in any deeper conversations. Her oldest sister tried once more to talk to me about forgiveness. I shut it down, telling her this is between me and Sarah, and to please respect that. She wasn't happy, but she finally backed off after that. My parents have been better. They stopped pushing their agenda and even invited me and the kids, not Sarah, to a weekend at their cabin to just relax. It was actually nice. My dad apologized again, more sincerely this time. He said he realized he was projecting his own ideals onto my situation and that he supports me making my own choice. My mom echoed that and just said she hopes I find happiness, whatever that looks like. I think them seeing me living separately made it sink in that I might truly divorce Sarah, and they're starting to accept it rather than fight it. Interestingly, Sarah's mom reached out to me, not to pressure me, but to apologize. She came by, during the time the kids were with me, and returned some personal items I had left at the house. At the door, she said softly, "I'm sorry we handled this poorly. I was just so afraid for my grandchildren and my daughter. But I realize we didn't consider you, and what you're going through. You have every right to feel what you feel." It actually made me tear up a bit. I thanked her. It doesn't erase the hurt from that day, but it was nice to hear. The final decision, after a lot of soul-searching, therapy, sleepless nights, and yes, conversations finally with Sarah, I have made a decision. I have decided to file for divorce. This probably isn't a huge surprise to anyone who read everything, but trust me, coming to it was incredibly difficult. Here's how that went down. I sat down with Sarah a week ago at a neutral location, the therapist's office actually, with my therapist mediating. We arranged a joint session just for this discussion. I told her I simply cannot rebuild the trust that was broken. I don't see a future where I'm not looking over my shoulder or feeling that pain whenever I see her. The love I have for her is real, but it's not enough to overcome what happened and what it did to me. And importantly, I don't want our kids growing up in a home where dad is full of resentment or mom is full of guilt and tension. Separate, we have a chance to be good co-parents. Together in a toxic marriage, we'd be doing them more harm. Sarah took it hard. She sobbed, she begged me to reconsider, said she's willing to wait longer, keep trying, etc. This was the first time I didn't falter in my resolve while talking to her. I remained calm but firm. I said my decision was made after a lot of agony, and it wasn't impulsive. In the end, she said through tears, "If it's what you need to heal, I won't fight you on it." That broke my heart a little more, honestly. I left that session feeling like absolute crap, even though I logically know it's the right path. It's just sad, no matter what. There's no victory here, just loss all around. Aftermath of decision. We told our kids together a couple days ago, as gently as possible, that mommy and daddy will remain living apart, and we'll be getting a divorce. We emphasize it's not their fault, and we love them so, so much. My 8-year-old cried, my 5-year-old didn't fully grasp it, but hugged her sister because she was upset. It was one of the hardest moments of my life. I almost wanted to reverse course right then, just to take away their pain. But I reminded myself that a short-term band-aid, staying in a broken marriage, would likely lead to longer-term misery for everyone. Sarah is going to keep the house for now. She can afford it with her salary and likely a bit of support from her parents if needed. I told her I don't want the house. I'll stay in my apartment. We agreed on joint custody formally. The legal filing is in motion, and since we're trying to do it amicably, hopefully it'll be straightforward. Emotionally, I'd be lying if I said I'm at peace. I'm not. Not yet. I have moments where I'm overwhelmed with loneliness and grief. I have other moments where I feel a weight lifting, thinking about not having to worry every day about whether I can trust my partner. It comes in waves. I'll probably continue therapy to work through this new stage. One thing I am at peace with, that I stood up for myself. That I didn't cave to the pressure to pretend everything was okay. The day I walked out of that intervention, I set a boundary that I wouldn't be bullied out of my self-respect. And I maintained it. It cost me a marriage and altered my family forever, but I can look in the mirror and not feel ashamed of how I handled myself after the initial shock. I also realized that while my family and in-laws badly mishandled their involvement, a lot of it came from fear and love, twisted as it appeared. They feared a broken home, they loved the grandkids, they even, in their own way, loved me and Sarah. They just went about it the worst way. People are flawed. This whole situation brought out some ugly sides, but with time and conversation, some understanding has been reached. Not with everyone. I'll probably always keep a distance from that one sister-in-law, but enough that co-parenting won't be a nightmare due to extended family drama.